If you thought Army of Darkness was Evil Dead 3, you're sorely mistaken. It's actually 1988's Ghosthouse. Well, at least that's what Italy thought. Welcome to Creepin' It Real. I'm Judah. Let's talk about Ghosthouse. Okay, first we're going to get into this trailer, and then we're going to dive into the whole Evil Dead tie-in. This is a long trailer. I'm not really sure what that random shot of that dead woman had to do with the scene here. Oh, this? Okay. So this scene right here, by the way, all spoilers, so just prepare yourself, okay? Because this movie has too much to pick apart to not spoil it. This right here, I guess I'll keep this a little secret, but this scene, there's like this really sweet like guitar solo in the background, just so you know. I didn't pick up on any like fantastic music throughout, other than there is this creepy like children's toy song that keeps playing, and it is, man, I don't know if it's more creepy than it is just freaking annoying. This is one of those things that if you have a frenemy and, you know, they're having a baby, you buy them a toy that plays this song because you know it's going to drive them insane. That's what this song is like. But anyway, back to this guy. Yeah, it's got this sweet like guitar solo going on throughout this whole scene, which cracks me up. Now, it's not just an only guitar solo, but that is what the predominant instrument is. Occasionally something else pops in there, but the highlight of this scene is definitely that sweet guitar solo. If you know what I'm talking about, you got to leave a comment. This poor guy, I don't even know what his point was in this movie. He shows up randomly, like maybe 3 times, and his character just doesn't make any sense. He doesn't move the plot forward at all. If this was to have been made like in this time period, I would say he was just a DEI hire, but I'm not sure what he's doing in this movie. Definitely did not propel the story forward at all. I guess this, I could be wrong, but I thought I read somewhere that this is the same house that was used in the movie House Next to the Cemetery. I don't know. You guys check that out. Let me know if I'm correct on that.
Nothing supernatural about all this, guys.
I don't know. I just feel like we're in some kind of danger and we've got to do something.
I don't like this place. It's depressing. There's something evil about the house.
It's a good thing he moved those twigs away so he could see better. This girl right here, she has an interesting accent. It doesn't always show up. In fact, there were times I was like, did I mishear that? Because her English is very good. It's just occasionally there are times when it shows through that she clearly, you know, English is like a second language to her. So I'm very curious to where she's from. But that brings up an interesting point. From what I read, like Italian horrors were kind of losing popularity at this time. So these Italian horror directors were trying to, make themselves more, part of the conversation again. And they were trying to write American horror. So this is an Italian horror film, but it was filmed in the States using English speaking actors from the US or from Canada. But what is funny is the story was written in Italian. So it was a literal translation from Italian to English. So that's why there's all this kind of weirdness and that's how the actors, deliver it from a literal translation. No fixing of any kind. From what I read, I don't know. And this scene just went on forever. And it definitely felt like a Poltergeist kind of callback, or I don't know. Yeah. Obviously, with the clown, Poltergeist, big time right there. If this RV's a rockin', don't come a knockin'. Never mind. This poor woman, I swear, she's with her. Okay. Here's a scenario. You got this shortwave radio, this guy who dabbles in shortwave radio. He picks up a weird transmission. Him and his girlfriend are all like, oh, let's go drive and see if we can locate where it's from. They go, they find this abandoned house. They're told not to go into the house. Okay. They're like, it's abandoned. Don't be messing in that house, okay? They do it anywhere. Anyway, they break in, they go into the attic, they find this shortwave, relay set up there, and then some guy shows up and he's like, what are you doing? Well, this guy doesn't live there either. Him and his family are parked out in the RV in the back of this abandoned home, and for some reason he was like, I'm just gonna go into this house, I'm gonna set up my little ham radio thing. And he lets them, this boyfriend of this girl, he shares with them the recording, this weird recording. And that's where the mystery begins. Well, that's my voice, but I don't know. I never said that. And I just set up the system right now. So there's no way that I transmitted that. Anyway, this poor woman, every time some kind of crazy crap happens, her boyfriend leaves her. And he says to her, stay here, lock the doors, don't let anybody in, don't leave. And can you tell me what happens? Every time she leaves, every time she doesn't stay locked in. I swear the first time it happens, he tells her to go into the RV. Literally, some guy just tried to murder them. And instead of them all getting the hell out of there, what do? They give one of the girls a sedative. Then most of the group leave to take another guy to the hospital. They leave this woman and this child alone in an RV in the same location where they were just about murdered. The guy got away, by the way. It wasn't like they almost got murdered. The cops caught him. Well, we're safe now. No, he got away. They don't know where he's at. So their best idea is, hey, you stay here in the same place where we almost just got murdered. We're going to leave. Not only that, we're going to make one of you fall asleep so that you can't protect yourself at all. And then he says, stay here. Lock yourself. Don't answer for anybody. Well, she starts hearing some weird noises. She looks outside the RV and she sees somebody is moving around in the house. What does she do? She gets some kind of shish kebab skewer and she's like, this will be a good weapon. I'll leave this girl alone in the RV who's doped up and can't do a shit thing for herself because we pumped her full of drugs, because that's what you do. When somebody has had a traumatic experience, you pump them full of drugs. She goes into the house. Why? Leaves the RV open. And what do you think happens to her? She doesn't die, but she gets attacked. This happens repeatedly. At what point does this boyfriend go, you know what, maybe I should stop leaving her alone because every time I leave, she gets attacked? Or two, at what point does this girl finally say, hell no, you're not leaving me because every time you leave, some shit happens? I don't know, but you would think that after the fourth time, somebody would start learning something. But they never did. Back to the trailer. That right there, I have no clue what that was supposed to be. There was no lead up, no understanding whatsoever, just white stuff suddenly. The floor just opens up and this person falls into white stuff. There's a bunch of like skulls and bones and stuff in it. And he's trying to get out. I have no idea. Was there boiling milk? Why was there boiling milk in the basement? And if it wasn't milk, was it supposed to be wax? Or why was the basement, underneath the basement floor, filled with boiling wax? I have no idea. There was no clarity. It was just like, hey, he just fell in a vat of white stuff. He's probably going to die. That was one of my favorite scenes. I chuckled. I really enjoyed it. It gave me super like campy, funhouse vibes. Something that you would go somewhere and they'd be like, oh, throw that mannequin head in the washing machine and turn it on. It's gonna be great. It gave me a chuckle. I loved it. In this movie, there's a lot of warping glass material. In one scene, there's these bottles that are filled with different types of liquid, and they start expanding and exploding, which is kind of a cool effect in of its own. But what was funny is that one scene, you actually see a transparent balloon inside of these props, and you see the balloon being inflated, which then pushes out the bottle to make the bottle look like it's starting to expand. And I mean, it was a pretty good effect. If there is one thing that I could say, that effect in of itself was done quite well, and I liked it. If I didn't spot that transparent balloon inside expanding, it would have been pretty good. But I did, and it's whatever. The whole movie is just a joke. So there you go. You guys can get that from on Blu-ray with a double feature of Witchery. So there you go. This movie, I'm just going to come out and say right now, I'm going to give this a 3 out of 10. I didn't think it was fantastic. But as I have mentioned in the past, there are some movies that I did not like. But once I started digging in to the behind the scenes, then I started getting some enjoyment from it, seeing about the productions and different stuff. And for this one in particular, it wasn't necessarily the production, but it was the whole, mechanics about how do we promote this. So they thought, okay, so this goes back to the whole Evil Dead. Now in Italy, Evil Dead was known as La Casa, and Evil Dead 2 was La Casa 2. So somebody had the bright idea of, hey, let's name Ghosthouse La Casa 3. Hopefully, we can then trick people to come in. They're going to think that this is the third part of the Evil Dead series. And it worked. it did garner more traction for them in Italy. But it goes far beyond that. Is Ghosthouse was known as La Casa 3. Witchery, which I also did a review on, which had David Hasselhoff in it. You guys should, that's another interesting Italian horror where they were trying to, beat the trend of the lackluster numbers that Italian horror were starting to get. And they were introducing actors from the States to try to boost the numbers. Beyond Darkness was known as La Casa 5. House 2, the second story, was known as La Casa 6. Now, House has its own interesting little, that's used these titles simply to boost the numbers. The Horror Show, which used the title House 3 in the States to try to boost those numbers, was known as La Casa 7 in Italy, which technically makes Army of Darkness La Casa 8. So the 8th movie in the Evil Dead series, if you were to go with the Italian or the Italy version of the story. This house, you don't know if it's a haunted house. You don't know if it's this girl that's haunting. You don't know if it's this clown. Further on in the movie, you begin to suspect that it was a clown. But then you're like, wait, was it the clown or is it the action of the father? This dad that you see that gets axed with a head. And speaking of axes, suddenly there's this caretaker for this abandoned home. He starts coming after these kids. So you got this ghost house, you got this haunted house story, but they also try sliding in this slasher aspect also. This guy who's chasing them around with a meat cleaver. And I'm sure most of us know the difference between a meat cleaver and an axe. But throughout the whole movie, they keep calling it an axe, even though it's clearly a meat cleaver. I'm assuming that it had something to do with the Italian to English translation. And for some reason, not a single one of these kids was like, hey, that's not an axe, that's a meat cleaver. They just went with it because they're like, hey, I don't want to spoil this gig. I'm just going to keep calling it an axe, even though it's clearly a meat cleaver. This guy is chasing them around. We got cops that are dismissing all kind of supernatural activity and just saying that it has to do with this groundskeeper that has suddenly gone mad. That's it. You're left with this weird kind of, is it the house? Is it the doll? Oh, no, it's the doll. Or is it the doll and the girl? You don't really know. But another thing is this house that is supposedly abandoned because these murders occurred in it and nobody wanted to buy it. So then the county apparently acquired the property. And instead of tearing the house down, they just continue to pay for the utilities because the water and the electricity still work in this home, even though it's been abandoned for 20 years. What county? I could just imagine having the board meeting and they're like, hey, we got to cut corners here, or over budget. We need to get new books for the kids in school, or we can keep paying for the utilities of this home that no one's going to live in. Ooh, education or paying for utilities in a home that no one's ever going to live in. I think let's keep paying for those utilities. It makes no sense. But, you got to make these movies work the way you got to make them work. We'll just jump over, things that just make total sense. Let's just bulldoze through them just so we can get our movie made. I'm landing firmly on a 3 out of 10. Let's check out IMDb. Let's see if we can find somebody who disagrees with me. And surprisingly, there are quite a few 10 out of 10s listed here. I mean, that's okay. Let's go with Queenie 1, 2, 3, 4. The first time I saw this movie, it really creeped me out. The ghostly hymn that I heard, that is heard whenever something bad is going to happen, is creepy as well. I mentioned that already. Yeah, it is very creepy. However, this movie is, in my opinion, very good. You should certainly see it and rate it yourself. I like vintage movies, so I enjoyed this one. It is a must-see for those who like good horror movies. Sure, it's not everyone's idea of scary, but it has its share of spooky scenes. This review was left back in 2000, so 25 years ago. It's crazy. I don't agree. Let's read one more. This is by R.W. Rubford. This was left back 5 years ago, 2020. This movie was horrible. Oh, and I loved every moment. So many ridiculous potholes, glaring mistakes. He had a meat cleaver, not an axe. Thank you. An unanswered question. What did the dog have to do with anything? Oh my gosh, I forgot about the dog. I blocked it out because it literally made no sense. But it was hilariously bad. Everyone knew they were making a crap movie and didn't try to take themselves seriously. Okay. So I can support this person because I've been in this place where the movie is obviously dog trash, but you still enjoy it. Now, I did not enjoy this movie. It didn't have enough for me. It didn't hit enough of those buttons that I need to enjoy a bad movie, but clearly it did it for this person, R.W. Rubford. So, depending on where you land, on what it is you like, this could be for you. As you see, 8 people gave it a 10 out of 10. One person thought it was just a fantastic movie. The other person was not fooling themselves. They clearly tell you this movie is trash, but I enjoyed it. Me, I'm landing here at a 3 out of 10. That's where I'm going to have to stick it. That's just the way things are. I appreciate it that you made it this far. If you did, you get a gold star. You are a champion. If you have any comments about Ghosthouse, I would love to read them and interact with you. And give me your thoughts on this whole marketing behind it. The whole, let's call it Evil Dead 3. That kind of stuff just tickles me. It's so weird. And the fact that we as consumers still to this day fall for that. Now, some of us are getting a little smarter, but some of us aren't. So let me know, what movie did you fall for that actually wasn't a sequel? You thought it was going to be some kind of continuation of a story you loved, and it turns out it was just the marketing machine that fooled you. I want to hear what movies those were. And if you have any suggestions of other movies I should check out, please leave those in the comments. I will indeed check them out. Please like, subscribe, and share. I'm Judah. Thanks for watching. This has been Creepin' It Real. See you later.